He had always dreamed of seeing the stars up close. Since childhood, the dark sky had called to him like an old friend. While other kids played ball or talked about sports, he would sit on the rooftop and watch the blinking lights above. His name was Ethan Cole, a space engineer who believed that courage meant doing what others refused to do. Years later, when the Interstellar Search Agency announced a volunteer mission to locate a lost mining vessel near a wormhole, Ethan's name was among the first on the list. The wormhole was known for strange magnetic storms and sudden bursts of radiation. Every expert called it unstable, even deadly. But Ethan's heart told him he had to go. Somewhere beyond that darkness, men and women might still be alive, waiting for help. He spent weeks preparing, checking engines, running simulations, sealing protective layers on his suit. His team admired his calm nature. "You sure you want to go alone?" one pilot asked. Ethan just smiled. "Someone has to. If I don't come back, at least someone tried." Those words stayed with the crew long after he left. The ship he piloted, Aurora 7, was small but tough, built for rescue missions. Its metal hull gleamed under station lights as it launched from Earth's orbit. Soon the blue planet faded behind him, replaced by the endless black ocean of space. He breathed slowly, letting the silence fill his thoughts. Out here, there was no noise, no lies, only truth. As Aurora 7 approached the wormhole region, strange readings began to appear on his screen. The sensors flickered, numbers jumped, and the navigation system froze for seconds at a time. Ethan tightened his grip on the controls. "Easy, girl," he whispered to the ship. "Hold together." Then the storm hit. Without warning, a wave of energy burst out of the wormhole. It was like lightning made of liquid light. The ship shook violently, alarms screamed, and panels sparked. Ethan tried to steer clear, but a blinding flash tore through the hull, slicing across his side. The pain was sharp and hot, then cold and numb. He gasped, his vision fading. The last thing he saw was a swirl of blue and gold light folding around him like a curtain. When he opened his eyes, everything was still. His head ached and the air felt heavy, almost thick. The hum of his ship was gone. Instead, he heard a faint rhythmic sound, like distant breathing. He pushed himself up and blinked. He wasn't in Aurora 7. The walls around him shimmered with silver light. Strange symbols glowed faintly, moving as if alive. There was no visible source of light, yet everything was bright. The air had a scent like metal after rain. Ethan tried to stand but stumbled. His side burned again. Looking down, he saw the wound, a deep mark that still glowed faintly blue. It didn't look natural. He called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" His voice echoed softly, then vanished. Moments later, a door opened silently and figures stepped inside. They were tall, graceful, and unlike anything he had ever seen. Their skin was pale with a hint of silver, and their eyes shone softly as if light lived inside them. None carried weapons, yet their presence filled the room with power. One of them moved forward. She was taller than the rest, her movements slow and commanding. A thin silver crown rested on her head, and her eyes, the color of ocean mist, focused on him with deep curiosity. When she spoke, it wasn't with words, it was in his mind, calm and clear. "You are awake." Ethan froze. He looked around, unsure if he had imagined it. Who are you?" "Where am I?" "You are safe," the voice said again. "You are among the Ilari, the guardians of the Veil. I am Seraphine, their queen." Ethan struggled to understand. The Ilari? He had never heard of them. His training had mentioned no known civilization in this sector. How did you find me?" The queen tilted her head slightly as if listening to something beyond him. "We detected the collapse of your vessel. You passed through our barrier. You should not have survived." Her tone wasn't cruel, it was full of disbelief. She motioned to her guards, and they brought forward a crystal-like device that projected light across his wound. The energy reacted instantly, glowing brighter. One of the guards stepped back in alarm, whispering words Ethan couldn't understand. Seraphine's eyes widened. For the first time, her calm expression broke. She stepped closer and studied the wound, the light from it reflecting on her silver skin. Then she whispered softly, but this time aloud, her voice musical yet shaken. "This can't be real." Ethan stared at her. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she touched a glowing panel near his bed. The room shifted color, turning from silver to a gentle blue. "You carry energy that should have destroyed you," she said finally. No being, human or Elari, can live after exposure to quantum radiation. He frowned. Quantum radiation? You mean the energy storm? The Queen nodded slowly. Your ship crossed a tear between realms. That light was not from your universe alone. Her gaze softened. Yet you survived it. Your body is changing, Ethan's mind spun. His pulse raced. He wanted to believe it was a dream, a side effect of shock, but the pain in his ribs felt too real. He looked at her again, at the faint glow surrounding her crown, at the calm power in her voice. I'm just a man, he said quietly. An engineer. I don't understand any of this. Seraphine studied him for a long moment, then turned to her people. Prepare the healing chamber, she commanded. But do not touch the wound until I say so. They obeyed instantly, moving with silent precision. As Ethan lay back, he realized he could hear faint echoes of their thoughts, soft whispers of surprise, fear, and wonder. He didn't know how, but some strange link connected him to their minds. It was overwhelming. The Queen returned to him and placed her hand near his temple, not touching, only hovering close. A warmth spread through him, calming his heartbeat. You will rest now, she said gently. There is much we must learn. Before his eyes closed again, Ethan looked at her one last time. The silver crown shimmered as she watched over him, her expression unreadable. Somewhere deep inside, he felt that his life had just crossed a line from which there was no return. He had gone to rescue others, but now it seemed the universe had chosen him for something far greater, something neither human nor alien could fully explain. And as darkness took him, the Queen's last words echoed faintly in his mind. You should not exist. And yet you live. When Ethan awoke, the room around him had changed. The silver walls now pulsed gently with soft blue light, and a low hum filled the air. His body felt heavy, yet the pain in his side had lessened. He sat up slowly, wincing as he tested his movement. The wound from the energy blast had not disappeared, but the throbbing pain was replaced by a strange warmth, like the heat of the sun on a cool morning. He looked around, trying to understand where he was and what had happened. The Elari, those tall, graceful beings, stood silently at a distance, their eyes fixed on him. None of them spoke aloud. Yet he could sense their thoughts, their curiosity, and their caution. It was as if the air itself carried their words. Seraphine, the Queen, approached with the same quiet elegance she had shown before. Her gaze was fixed on him, full of intensity and something that felt like worry. He could not explain why, but he felt that she understood more about him than even he understood himself. You are awake earlier than expected, she said, her voice echoing softly in his mind. Your body is adapting faster than our science predicts. Ethan swallowed hard. Adapting? I don't understand. She studied him carefully, her eyes reflecting both wonder and concern. The energy you absorbed is unique. It interacts with your biology in ways we cannot fully explain. You survived a force that should have destroyed you. That is why we are so cautious. Ethan felt a shiver run through him. The thought that he was something extraordinary, something no one else had survived, both frightened and fascinated him. He had trained his whole life for space missions, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The Queen motioned for him to lie back on the soft, glowing platform. She raised her hands, and a gentle field of light surrounded him. Ethan felt his muscles relax, the tension leaving his body as if the ship's trauma had never happened. The glow shifted over his wound, analyzing it, and he felt a strange tingling sensation. The pain was gone, replaced by a feeling of energy moving within him. This is unlike anything we have seen, Seraphine whispered. It should not be possible for a human to survive quantum radiation. Yet here you are. Ethan tried to speak, but words failed him. Instead, he reached out slowly, touching the glowing field around his body. It felt alive, warm, and somehow comforting. He realized that somehow the Queen and her people were trying to heal him without harming him. As he lay there, he noticed that the room itself seemed alive. The walls shimmered, and symbols appeared and faded across the surfaces. He could not read them, but they seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat. He wondered if the Elari communicated through these symbols, or if the room itself was a living entity. Seraphine knelt beside him, her hand hovering above the glow. Do not be afraid, she said. You are not here to be harmed. You are here to be understood. He nodded slowly, trying to trust her despite the fear still gripping him. I just wanted to save people. I didn't want to end up like this. The Queen's gaze softened. Your courage has carried you far beyond what any being could predict. That is why you are alive. That is why I will protect you." Ethan looked into her eyes, seeing a depth he could not fully understand. There was intelligence, power, and curiosity, but also an emotion he could recognize: concern. It made him feel both small and significant at the same time. Suddenly, one of her guards stepped forward, holding a device that projected soft golden light over Ethan's chest. The Queen nodded, and the device scanned him quickly. The golden light moved over his wound, mapping it, analyzing every detail. Ethan felt the warmth grow, spreading through his body in a way that made him feel stronger yet calm. "This energy," Seraphine said, speaking both aloud and in his mind, "interacts with your cells. It repairs what is broken, but it does more. It is awakening your body in ways we do not yet understand." Ethan's mind raced. "Awakening my body? What do you mean?" She looked at him intently. "You are changing. Your survival is not merely physical. You are becoming something new, something that bridges your world and ours. That is why we must observe but also protect you." He swallowed hard, realizing the truth in her words. He had been through pain, fear, and death, yet he felt alive in ways he had never known. Something inside him had shifted, something powerful and strange. For hours, the Queen and her people observed him, asking questions in their mind language, watching his reactions and noting every movement. Ethan responded carefully, trying to explain his human experience, his training, and his memories of the ship. He spoke of Earth, of the mission, and of the friends he had hoped to save. Seraphine listened with great patience. She asked about human emotions, about courage, fear, and hope. Ethan realized that despite their advanced technology and wisdom, the Alari were curious about what made humans different. He tried to explain in simple words, but he sensed that some of it could not be understood fully by them. As the hours passed, Ethan began to notice a connection growing between himself and the Queen. He could sense her thoughts more clearly now, and she could sense his. It was not invasive, it was a quiet understanding, as if their minds were gently brushing against each other. He felt her astonishment, her disbelief, and her respect for his survival. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Queen spoke aloud, her voice calm, yet firm. "You will need rest, Ethan Cole. The energy in your body is unstable. You must allow it to settle." Ethan nodded, exhaustion finally catching up with him. He lay back on the glowing platform, feeling the gentle warmth of the Ailari energy flow through him. For the first time he realized that he was no longer merely a human in space. He was something different, someone extraordinary, someone who had survived the impossible. Before closing his eyes, he glanced at the Queen one last time. She stood there, tall and radiant, her gaze fixed on him with a mixture of wonder and caution. Ethan felt a strange gratitude, knowing that she had chosen to protect him when others might have sought to study or even harm him. As sleep claimed him once more, Ethan's last thought was simple yet powerful. He had survived, and the universe was far larger and stranger than he had ever imagined. The mission he had embarked upon had changed him forever, and somewhere deep in his mind he could still hear her whisper, soft and almost musical. "This is only the beginning." When Ethan awoke again, he felt stronger than before. The warmth from the Ailari energy still lingered inside him, a gentle hum that made his heart beat steady and his mind clear. For the first time since the accident, he felt almost normal. Almost, but not quite. Something inside him had changed, something subtle but undeniable. The room was bright with soft light. The Queen, Seraphine, stood nearby, her silver eyes fixed on him. Around her, her guards and scientists moved silently, preparing their instruments. Today they were going to examine him more closely, and Ethan knew it. He felt a mix of fear and curiosity. He had survived something no human was supposed to survive, yet he did not fully understand why. "You are awake," Seraphine said, her voice gentle yet firm. "We will examine the wound now. You must remain still. This may feel strange, but it will not harm you." Ethan nodded, trying to steady his breathing. He lay down on the glowing platform once again. The guard stepped back, and the Queen extended her hands, palms facing him. From her fingertips, soft beams of light formed, flowing over his wound. Unlike any medical device he had seen on Earth, this light seemed alive. It moved and shifted, weaving into his skin and body. Ethan's eyes widened. It feels warm, but also like it's alive," he whispered. Seraphine's expression softened, though a shadow of disbelief lingered. "It is alive," she said softly. "It is interacting with you in ways we do not fully understand. The energy in your wound is unique." Hours passed as the Aelari observed him. Machines hummed, lights glowed, and Ethan felt as if the energy inside him was stretching, growing, finding its way through his body. At times he could sense the Queen's thoughts clearly in his mind, her astonishment, her care, and her cautious curiosity. "This energy," she said finally, "should have destroyed you completely. No human or any being could survive quantum radiation exposure. Yet your body absorbs it. Your cells are evolving." Ethan tried to understand. "Evolving, you mean my body is changing?" Seraphine nodded. "Yes, the wound is not merely healing. It is transforming you. Your survival is impossible. That is why I am shocked." He looked down at his side, seeing the faint glow still pulsing under his skin. It did not hurt, yet it reminded him constantly that he was no longer an ordinary human. Fear prickled at the back of his mind. Was this change permanent? Was he still himself? The Queen approached him, her expression serious. "You must understand, Ethan Cole. Your existence challenges everything we know. You should not survive this, yet you do. You are extraordinary, and that is why I will protect you." Ethan felt a strange mixture of pride and fear. He had always wanted to help others, to be brave in the face of danger. Yet he had never imagined that his survival would make him something completely new, something no one had seen before. The Aelari scientists moved closer, their devices scanning the glow of his wound and the energy flowing through him. Ethan felt waves of heat and tingling sensations as the scans measured his cells. He realized that his body was not just repairing itself, it was becoming stronger, faster, smarter. Seraphine observed every detail, her hands glowing softly. She leaned closer, studying the way the energy intertwined with his body. "This is not merely survival," she said. "It is adaptation. Your human biology has found a way to use the quantum energy instead of being destroyed by it. This is unprecedented." Ethan struggled to speak. "So, you mean I'm special?" The Queen's eyes softened. "Yes, special, but also fragile. You must learn to control it. Your body is changing, but your mind must remain strong. If you lose focus, the energy could overwhelm you." He swallowed hard. Fear and excitement battled inside him. He had survived the impossible, yet he had no idea what lay ahead. He realized that this was only the beginning. He was stepping into a world far beyond anything he had known. As the hours passed, Ethan began to feel more connected to the Aelari. He could sense their thoughts, their curiosity, and their wonder. They were fascinated by him, not just as a human, but as something that bridged two worlds. He felt their admiration, and for the first time he did not feel alone. The Queen placed a hand gently on his shoulder, and he felt a surge of energy flow through him. It was not painful, but it was intense, like electricity mixed with warmth. He saw visions, flashes of stars, planets, and energy fields far beyond his understanding. He realized that his mind was beginning to perceive things he had never imagined. "You are learning," Seraphine said softly. "Your mind is opening to possibilities humans are not ready for. You can see energy, sense the universe in ways we cannot fully explain. This is part of your transformation." Ethan felt both awe and fear. His world had changed forever. He was no longer just a man from Earth, he was something new, something impossible. He wondered what this meant for him, for his life, and for the mission that had brought him here. The Queen stepped back, allowing her scientists to finish their work. Ethan felt exhaustion settle in, but it was different from before. It was not weakness, it was a deep, calm energy that filled him. He realized he was healing faster, learning faster, and beginning to understand the strange power inside him. Finally, Seraphine spoke again, her voice firm yet gentle. "You must rest now, Ethan. The energy is settling and your body needs time. But know this, you are no longer just a human. You are extraordinary. You have survived what should have destroyed you, and that is why we are astonished." Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the Aelari energy, the gentle presence of the Queen, and the strange, powerful connection that had formed between them. For the first time he realized that he had become something more, a bridge between his world and theirs, a living proof that the universe still held secrets beyond imagination. As sleep claimed him once more, he heard the Queen's voice in his mind, soft but clear. "You are alive against all odds. This is only the beginning. Learn, grow, and survive. The universe has chosen you for a reason. Ethan's last thought before drifting into deep sleep was simple but powerful. He had survived the impossible, and now, the real journey was just beginning. Ethan woke slowly, feeling a strange calm in his body. The glow of the energy in his wound had faded to a soft pulse, almost like a heartbeat. He could still feel it moving through him, guiding his strength and focus. For the first time since the accident, he felt in control, almost certain that he could face whatever was coming next. Seraphine, the queen, was already there, standing quietly beside the glowing platform. Her eyes, which had reflected shock and wonder when she first saw his wound, now held a mixture of concern and determination. Around them, the Elari scientists whispered among themselves, their expressions serious. Ethan could sense tension in the room, something different from before. "You have adapted well," Seraphine said, her voice calm yet firm. "Your body continues to heal and the energy has begun to stabilize. But there is another matter we must discuss." Ethan shifted slightly, curiosity and worry filling him. "What matter?" he asked. She gestured toward the Elari Council, a group of tall beings who had remained silent until now. "My people are concerned," she said softly. "They fear what you are, what you represent. To them, you are an anomaly, something they cannot explain and therefore something they cannot trust completely." Ethan felt a pang of fear. He had survived the impossible, but now he realized that his survival had caused worry, even among these advanced beings. "Are they going to harm me?" he asked quietly. Seraphine shook her head.
"No, I will not allow it."
"You are not a specimen to be studied or destroyed. You are extraordinary, but I must protect you even if it means opposing my counsel." He studied her carefully. There was a seriousness in her eyes that he had not seen before. She cared about him, and yet she was facing pressure from others who did not understand him. It was a difficult position, and he could sense the weight of it pressing on her shoulders. The council began speaking in their mind language, their thoughts overlapping in a rush of concern, curiosity, and fear. Ethan struggled to keep up, but he sensed that they were arguing about him, debating whether he should remain with them or be examined more closely. Some feared that the energy inside him could be dangerous. Others were amazed that a human could survive at all. Seraphine raised her hand and the room fell silent. Her thoughts reached Ethan's mind clearly. He is not a threat. He is proof that the universe still holds mysteries. I will not let them take that away from him. Ethan felt a surge of gratitude. Her determination to protect him was clear, and it strengthened his own resolve. He knew that whatever lay ahead, he could trust her to stand by him. "Ethan," she said aloud, her voice gentle, "you must understand that your presence here is changing everything. My people see humans as fragile, as weak, but you are different. You have survived the impossible. That is why they fear you and why I respect you." He nodded slowly, trying to absorb her words. I didn't want to be different," he said quietly. "I just wanted to help people. I never expected this." The queen smiled faintly, a soft warmth in her expression. "Sometimes the universe chooses us for reasons we do not understand. You have been chosen, Ethan. Not for your strength alone, but for your courage, your heart, and your will to survive. That is why I protect you." The scientists moved closer again, their instruments scanning him carefully. Ethan could feel the energy inside him shifting, growing stronger, more controlled. He realized that he could sense the room, the queen, and even the thoughts of the Elari around him more clearly now. It was as if the bond between them was growing stronger by the moment. One of the council members stepped forward, a tall Elari with silver hair flowing like liquid light. His thoughts were stern, questioning, and skeptical. "You place trust in a human? He carries energy that should not exist. What if it overwhelms him, or us?" Seraphine's mind was firm in reply. "He is alive. That alone proves that he is not a threat. He has survived what none of us could. You must learn from this, not fear it." Ethan felt the tension, yet he also felt a strange calm. He realized that he was no longer just a visitor or a patient. He was part of something larger. His survival had forced even the queen and her council to see humans differently, to reconsider what they believed possible. Hours passed as the council debated, and Ethan rested on the glowing platform, feeling the energy moving through him, adjusting and strengthening him. At times he could sense the queen's concern, her hope, and her patience. She would not force him into anything, yet she would guide him, protect him, and teach him what he needed to know. Finally, the council stepped back, and Seraphine turned fully to him. "They will not harm you," she said, her voice filled with quiet authority. "But they will watch. They are cautious, as all advanced beings are when confronted with the impossible. You must remain calm and trust yourself." Ethan nodded. I will try." The queen extended her hand, and the glow from her fingertips reached out to him. He felt a warmth spread through his chest, a feeling of connection that went beyond words. It was not just energy. It was understanding, respect, and something like trust. He realized that this bond between them was growing stronger, deeper, and more important than anything else in the room. "You are more than human," Seraphine whispered. "You are a bridge between our worlds. That is why I must protect you. That is why I must teach you." Ethan felt the truth in her words. He had survived the impossible, and now he was being given a chance to learn, to grow, and to see the universe in ways no human ever had. It was overwhelming yet thrilling. As the day passed, Ethan began to understand his new abilities. He could sense energy, feel the movements of the room, and even anticipate minor changes in the queen's actions. It was subtle at first, but growing stronger by the hour. He realized that the bond they shared was more than protection. It was a form of learning, of mutual understanding, and perhaps even trust that crossed the boundaries of species and worlds. Seraphine watched him carefully, her expression a mixture of hope and caution. "You are learning quickly," she said, "but there is still much to understand. The energy inside you is powerful. It can heal, strengthen, and protect, but only if you control it. If you lose focus, it could harm you." Ethan nodded, feeling a responsibility he had never known before. He was no longer just a man from Earth. He was a survivor, a student of the impossible, and someone who had been chosen to carry a secret that could change everything. As night fell in the Alari chamber, Ethan rested again, feeling the energy pulse gently through him. The queen remained nearby, watching over him, her presence a calm and steady guide. For the first time, he felt safe, understood, and strangely at home, even in a world so far beyond his own. And as he drifted into sleep, he heard her voice in his mind once more, soft, reassuring, and full of wonder. "You are alive against all odds. You are extraordinary, and the universe still holds more than you can imagine. Together we will discover it." Ethan awoke to the gentle hum of the human recovery ship. The familiar green and silver panels of the craft greeted him, and for the first time since the wormhole, he felt the comfort of Earth's influence around him. He stretched slowly, testing his body. There were no signs of his old wound. The strange glow that had pulsed through his side in the Alari chamber had disappeared, leaving only a faint warmth that reminded him of everything he had survived. He sat up, blinking against the light. The medical officers around him paused, surprised to see him awake and fully alert. "Mr. Cole?" one asked, her voice calm but full of curiosity.
How are you feeling?
"Better than I can explain," Ethan said quietly, still processing everything that had happened. He looked out the viewport at the stars, feeling a strange emptiness in the sky, a longing for the silver-lit chamber where he had met Seraphine, where he had learned that the universe was larger, stranger, and more alive than he had ever imagined. The doctors began their standard checks, scanning his body for any anomalies. Ethan smiled faintly. Their machines confirmed what he already knew. He was fully healed. Not just physically, but something deep inside him had changed. He could feel it in his thoughts, his senses, and the quiet hum of energy that remained in his chest. He was different. He was stronger. He was more. As the ship drifted closer to Earth, Ethan remembered the Queen's words, "Tell your people, you are more than you believe." He understood now that his survival had been a message, not just for him, but for humanity. Somewhere out there beyond the stars, beings more advanced than anyone could imagine had noticed humans, and he had been their proof that humans were capable of the impossible. The ship's captain approached him, her steps careful, almost hesitant. "We found your ship near the wormhole," she said. "All records show your vessel was destroyed." How did you survive?" Ethan looked at her, then out at the stars beyond the window. He considered telling her the truth, but the memory of Seraphine's voice whispered in his mind. "The universe is not ready. Not yet." He shook his head slightly. I can't explain it," he said. "Let's just say I was lucky." The captain frowned but did not press further. There was no point. The energy that had changed him was invisible, beyond comprehension. If he spoke of it, they would not understand, and they might even try to control it. He had survived something impossible, and that was enough. Ethan spent the next hours quietly observing Earth from the ship. The blue planet looked peaceful, as if nothing had happened. People went about their lives unaware of the vast hidden forces that surrounded them. Ethan felt a strange responsibility. He carried knowledge, energy, and experience no human had ever possessed. How could he share it? How could he honor the trust Seraphine had placed in him? When the recovery ship landed, Ethan stepped onto solid ground, breathing in Earth's air. It smelled familiar, comforting, and yet he could still feel the subtle energy from the Ilari flowing through him. Every step felt different, stronger. He realized that he could sense more than just his surroundings. He could feel patterns, flows, and rhythms in ways that seemed impossible before. He walked through the small crowd that had gathered, people curious about the man who had survived the wormhole. Ethan smiled faintly, feeling both part of this world and apart from it at the same time. He had returned, but he was not the same man who had left. That night, Ethan stood outside under the stars looking up at the sky. The silver-lit chamber of the Ilari, the Queen's eyes and the glow of the energy in his wound came to his mind. He felt a sense of connection, a reminder that the universe was vast, alive, and full of wonders waiting to be discovered. "You are alive against all odds," Seraphine's voice echoed in his mind. "You are extraordinary. The universe has chosen you for a reason," he whispered softly, almost to himself. "I know. I understand now." Ethan knew that his mission had changed. He had once set out to save others, believing courage meant risking life for the sake of humanity. Now he understood that survival could be just as powerful, that being alive against impossible odds could inspire, teach, and prove that humanity was capable of far more than anyone imagined. The next days were quiet. Ethan went through routine checks, spoke with scientists, and tried to return to normal life. Yet he carried the energy, the lessons, and the silent presence of Seraphine in his mind. He could not explain it to anyone, and perhaps he never would. But he could feel it guiding him, reminding him that he had a purpose beyond ordinary understanding. One evening, he sat alone, staring at the night sky. The stars twinkled, distant and untouchable, yet he knew now that the universe was alive with forces unseen. Somewhere beyond those stars, Seraphine and the Ilari watched over him, and he felt a connection that crossed the boundaries of worlds. He was not alone. A soft breeze rustled through the trees, and Ethan smiled faintly. The world seemed smaller now and yet larger than ever. He carried a secret, a gift, and a message. Humanity was capable of more than anyone believed, and he had survived to prove it. In the days that followed, Ethan returned to his work, helping with space missions and rescue operations, but he did so with a new understanding. He was more aware of energy, patterns, and possibilities. He moved with caution, strength, and a quiet confidence that came from knowing he had seen what no human should see, and had survived. And late at night, when he gazed at the stars, he whispered to the sky, "Thank you. I know you're watching." The universe, vast and full of mysteries, had given him a gift few would ever understand. He had survived, learned, and returned stronger. The impossible had become his reality, and he carried the Queen's message not just in words, but in the life he would live from that day forward. Ethan Cole had returned to Earth, healed, changed, and extraordinary. The stars above seemed closer now, full of secrets waiting to be discovered, and he knew deep in his heart that he was ready for whatever came next.